Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have Matt on Aluren versus Brian on Yorion and Taxes. Now, those names should be reversed, so that's actually backwards. Error there. Apologies. Yorion and Taxes, an interesting take on the format mainstay Death and Taxes. Running Yorion, which gives you some serious gas if you do happen to run out. Get that into your hand, cast it. Now it's costly, but a big flyer for 5 mana, and it blinks everything. The deck's already running Blink, and to good effect. I mean, you've got Flicker Wisp and Charming Prince as options already, and of course, for things to blink, you've got Stoneforge Mystic, as well as the equipment that it can fetch, Batterskull, and the new Cauldron Complete, resetting, getting a Germ token out of those, right through Recruiter of the Guard to get extra value. That often happens with Flicker Wisp. Flicker Wisp removing the Recruiter of the Guard, and then when it comes back, getting another Flicker Wisp, assembling a whole squad. Skyclave Apparition, and now finally Solitude. One of the nice things about Yorion and Taxes is you don't have to make the super tough cuts. There are actually a lot of cards that you'd be happy to sleeve up in Death and Taxes at this point, to the point where you really actually do need to make some cuts. Now, Stoneforge Mystic coming out, finding Cauldron Complete, looking to close things out as fast as possible, as Aluren can combo off as soon as it gets 4 mana. Bird's Paradise. It's on the next turn without disruption. We could actually see a game-winning move from Aluren. Pile up to 2. Raucous comes down. Now the Cauldron Complete, ready to start taking chunks of Aluren's life total down to 14. That life counter looks awesome. Thank you guys for having that so prominently displayed. For those unfamiliar with Aluren, there's a new big printing here, Acererak. Acererak? Not actually sure how you say that. And now a Ice Fang, which will draw a card. So Aluren allows all players to play cards, creature cards costing 3 or less. So now we've got a Euro coming in. And a Cavern Harpy. So now this is going to be game. One thing that you can do there. So basically, Cavern Harpy is going to allow for drawing through the entire deck. A trick that is sometimes missed here is you actually want to have the Cavern Harpy in play with the bounce trigger on the stack. Here we go. Flicker Wisp trying to interact, but that is not going to work. Cavern Harpy going to be able to return Euro. Euro is going to be able to be played again. And there we go. We don't even need to keep drawing. We've hit the actual kill card here. Acererak going to be able to go through the dungeon every time. We're going to see 1 life lost and 1 life gained, along with a few other things, making goblins, getting treasure tokens, etc. That is it. Just like that. Once Aluren shows up, this deck is very deadly. And keep in mind that Thalia only makes non-creature spells cost 1 more, meaning that with an Aluren out, you're still able to combo off. So Thalia will prevent you from casting Aluren for like a turn sometimes, making it cost that 1 extra. But aside from that, this combo can just fire off right in the face of a Thalia. The dungeon, Lost Mine of Phandelver, the one that you opt to use with Acererak. Ever actually completing Dungeon of the Mad Mage or whatever it is that's mentioned on his card. You're just going to go through and each time make your opponent lose a life and you gain a life. Of course, you also get to draw your entire deck in the process. The wrap. Be sure of that. Kind of, I would say, consolidates the deck a little bit, the way that Thalia, or Thassa's Oracle did with Cephalid Breakfast and other strategies that used to use Laboratory Maniac. Nice Even, steady curve here. Mother of Runes into Stoneforge Mystic. Brainstorm in response to the Stoneforge. At potentially looking at Force of Willing the Stoneforge. Letting it resolve. That Brainstorm means that he's going to be drawing a card off the top of the library. May not necessarily have wanted, but got to assume that he would have been willing to force the Stoneforge, unless he's just got a ton of cantrips. That is also a possibility. He has more cantrips than he knows what to do with. Baleful Strix. Not going to provide very much protection against Cauldron Complete. Strix, the 1/1 Death Touch flyer. Ponder. Does not find it. This is really all about Matt finding his Aluren. Not going to win a combat situation. There are decks where you can assemble a squad. Death and Tax is not one of them. You know, just getting out a Euro, riding it to victory with some counter magic. Not going to happen against a deck running multiple copies of Caracas in so many ways, exiling the Titan. Oh, Baleful Strix going to be able to trade here with Stoneforge Mystic. Interesting. Mother Runes not engaging. That facing down lethal. Thalia making everything cost one more. Hoping for a Euro here just to get outside of lethal for one turn. Ooh, it's a Plague Engineer. All the humans dying. Cauldron Complete still very much a problem. Matt's got a decision to make whether or not he blocks or not. All basic lands, base of this wasteland. Matt may be able to just cast an Aluren and go off despite all of Death and Tax's efforts here. Aldrich can swing in and push Matt down to just one. Question is, does he want the ability to force or fetch? Would he rather make sure that there's no way of a Thalia coming back down? He opts to keep the shields up. Now, Spirit of the Labyrinth. That's a good card here. That will prevent card drawing. That is the most typical way of winning. So as we've seen, Acerak can actually ignore Spirit of the Labyrinth. That would be a spectacular win for the new card. Abrupt Decay takes out the Spirit. Euro up to 4. Putting in a land. Just barely hanging on here. This Plague Engineer going to have to step in front of Cauldron. No, it won't happen. Skyclave Apparition arrives, exiles the Plague Engineer, and the 5 damage can come through as Death and Taxes squares it up 1 game apiece. So many cards on the other side of the table can be cast thanks to the Aluren for free. Skyclave Apparition, perhaps the scariest of them. Actually exile the Aluren. Question of who has more instant speed responses. Got to be one of the important cards in the matchup. Spirit of the Labyrinth, also a strong one, shutting off Brainstorm and Ponder. Not responding to the Spirit. What might be his... No, I was going to say what might be one of his last Brainstorms. Instead, we've got an Abrupt Decay, killing it. Now Euro makes a basic land drop and Baleful Strix. Excellent turn there. Couple of cantrips, setting up the graveyard to be useful down the line for Euro. Not typically going to ride him to victory in terms of attacking with the 6/6, but you could definitely use him as part of your combo despite the difficulties with Caracas. Thalia. Oh, and Aluren. Maybe a little bit of a who flinches situation. Baleful Strix dips in. Plague Engineer. That gets rid of Thalia. Inhuman, and now Stoneforge Mystic. And just like that, Acerak goes up and ends the party. He is going to bounce himself when he enters the battlefield as well as progress through the dungeon. That is going to be a wrap. Unless there's any more responses. He does it all by himself. Looks like that's going to do. I mean, it's now or never. This guy enters the battlefield, triggers to respond. Oh, here we go. Flicker Wisp. Interesting. Flicker Wisp removing the Aluren, but this is not going to last. During the end step, that Aluren is going to come back. Still going to result in a lethal flurry of zombie wizard ETBs. Really, if that was a Skyclave Apparition instead of a Flicker Wisp, this would be a very different situation. Oh, it was during the end step. Interesting. So it looks like that Flicker Wisp was actually during the end step, meaning that the Aluren wouldn't come back till the following end step, but it does indeed come back and allow Aluren to combo off in a very good, possible first showing on the channel here for Acerak, the Arc Lich. This card, definitely a shot in the arm, it would seem, for the Aluren archetype.